As the Dondozo is forced out. Sorry, the Mega Swampert is forced out due to the Dondozo swapping as swapping into a Rillaboom. I will get this streaming in just a second. Oh, Infidel Rick is here. That's a good sign. Streaming, we are streaming. Fantastic. As presumably this Tornadus swaps into the Rillaboom. I'm not sure what the Rillaboom used, but whatever it was, it hurt this Tornadus a lot. I'm essentially coming into this game on turn 5. There was a Mega Swampert earlier, so this very well could be a rain team we're seeing from Chorus X, but I'm unsure because Rillaboom's not really a common pick on rain teams. Potentially good, could deal with a couple counters for some of Pokemon that are often on rain teams, but not something you see too often, as the Melmetal does come back in, taking a Grassy Glide and not taking too much. However, this Melmetal is getting lower and lower, and it's not running leftovers. So the damage on this Melmetal will be permanent if it wasn't for the fact that grassy terrain is up. But ignoring that, damage on this Melmetal will be permanent. Which isn't too bad if it's just being chipped from full, but it's now at less than half health. And I don't know if this Rillaboom is choice banded. Presumably it is, as it does go for the swap. As the Pelipper comes back, and I think this is a rain team actually. As this Pelipper does, I can't tell if it resets rain or not. I don't think it does. I think rain is actually going to end this turn, which is very unfortunate. As the Pelipper comes in, the turn rain ends, unable to reset it. That will be quite unfortunate. It will need to come in again later to put rain back up. As the Swampert does come in, even without Swift Swim, it is faster than a Melmetal. This Melmetal is likely threatened out here by an Earthquake. Of course, Melmetal is extremely bulky and could usually survive an Earthquake, but at 48%, I'm unsure. The Melmetal taking the bait with the Pelipper, going for the Thunderous, allowing the Swampert to come in, taking no damage at all. If it had went for a double Iron Bash instead, the Swampert would be looking in quite dire health. But it doesn't need to worry about that. The Swampert flip turns out as the Dragonite switches in. Actually, quite a good call. And this will mean that Dragonite's multi-scale is cracked. As the Greninja comes in, this Dragonite is very heavily threatened now. It wouldn't normally be with multi-scale up, and it could confidently stay in for at least a turn, but it will be forced out as the Clodsar comes in, taking an Ice Beam and not caring too much. Now, this, I don't know if it's been revealed yet if this Clodsire is unaware or water absorb. If it is unaware, then that's Greninja could potentially hurt it with a water type move, but it will swap into the Pelipper, which does take the toxic, but allows the resetting of rain, something that this team has been missing for quite a bit, as the Clodsire does reveal it has water absorb. Who's battling? This is PokeNova versus PokeValley. The fighter on PokeNova's side is Chorus X. And I can't actually see who's on the side of PokeValley because they're too far away in my screen. I'll ask. See, Dondozo and the Barraskewda both come in. Ancient Freeze, okay. Ancient Freeze is fighting for PokeValley's side. As once again, both people swap out, the Dondozo swapping out and the Barraskewda swapping out, bringing in the Rillaboom and the Tornadus. I don't think this Rillaboom can really hurt this Tornadus too much. Could potentially hurt it quite a lot with a stab grassy glide, especially with that health value on the Tornadus. Unless of course the Tornadus is invested into bulk, which is something that people sometimes run. But it's probably best to just take the Rillaboom out just in case, because if this Tornadus is running Hurricane or Bleak Wind Storm and it hits, then it will be very dire as the Pelipper comes in, taking the Hurricane and dying from it, as of course Rain is up. As the Swampert comes back in, looking to take advantage of that Rain. Now, depending what it goes for here, either I believe most of Ancient Freeze's team is threatened by, aside from the Dondozo, I was going to say most of Ancient Freeze's team is threatened by either a waterfall or an earthquake. So depending on what's pressed and what swaps in, it could be quite dire. But the Dondozo comes in not caring too much. Probably one of the few Pokemon left on Ancient Freeze's. I say few Pokemon left, like Pokemon have died. Pokemon haven't really died yet. One of the few Pokemon in Ancient Freeze's side that probably can safely switch into this Mega Swampert for now. However, that Pelipper is gone, so the remaining turns of Rain will be ticking by and ticking by, as I very much doubt that Cortex has another Rain setter on their side. As the Greninja comes out. The Dondozo going for rest and Sleep Talk cursing. Of course, curse not mattering too much around a Greninja. Although, can this Greninja really threaten this Dondozo? I just opened like a billion tabs on my computer by accident. Going for the Dark Pulse, doing just under a third as the Sleep Talk Liquidation comes out. Greninja likely going for trying to get those flinches in. The Dondozo will go for another rest, predicting that it will wake up this turn, bringing itself back to full. Greninja swaps out as the Rillaboom comes in. Sleep Talk, unfortunately, proccing rest again, which doesn't work. Dondozo will need to be careful here, even though it is +1 in defense. And obviously invested heavily into bulk. Rillaboom still hits very, very hard. So Tornadus comes in, taking the Grassy Glide and taking a significant amount of damage in the process. Over half. It could die to another Grassy Glide here if the Rillaboom goes for it. Which I think it will do, because I'm pretty sure this Rillaboom is Choice Banded. one of the players thinking very carefully here. It may very well be Ancient Freeze, as that Tornadus cannot stay in, as it will die to another Grassy Glide. But in the same sense, it may be Chorus X, who's thinking that they know that, may go for something else, but no, they stay in, going for the Grassy Glide again as the Dragonite comes out. Once again, that Dragonite is chipped already. In fact, it's down to below 70% now, so Multiscale is well and truly gone, unless this Dragonite has access to Roost. As it goes for the Dragon Dance, as the Barraskewda comes in. Keep in mind, this Barraskewda is not going to be able to take advantage of Swift Swim, as that rain is gone. So depending on what set this Dragonite is running, it will be faster, but it looks like it's not fast enough, as the Barraskewda does hit it, but not doing nearly enough to kill it, as the Dragonite comes back with the Outrage, killing the Barraskewda. Outrage is a very risky move to run on Dragonite, as it has some very, very high potential setup sweeping opportunities. And it was one of the easiest setup sweepers to actually get going. So running Outrage on it can be really, really risky, as it locks you into it and may prevent you from doing other things. As the Rillaboom comes back in, I'm not entirely sure what the point of this Rillaboom is. Maybe just for the priority alone, going for the Grassy Glides. As the Dragonite only survives in 1 HP, that must have been a roll at the end there. As the Greninja comes in, hoping that Chorus X goes, Chorus X desperately hoping that they have something that can outspeed this Dragonite. As Dragonite goes to switch out into the Clodsire. Very interesting choice, deciding to swap that Dragonite out. Greninja initially going for the Water Shuriken. Of course, yes, the Greninja does have Water Shuriken that would have killed the Dragonite. Fair point at swapping out there, as the Clodsire comes in, water absorbing the Water Shuriken, as the Greninja just starts pressing Dark Pulse, getting a flinch the first time. But you'll need to get a lot more flinches than that if you want to successfully break through this thing's recovery. As the Swampert comes in. Going for the flip turn as the Dondozo comes in. Losing that Rillaboom is going to be really tough in Course X, as that Rillaboom was required to break through multiple things on Ancient Freeze's team. I don't know if they have the things to threaten those Pokemon anymore, as the Greninja goes for the likely a Z Hydro Pump, but into the Clodsire, which just absorbs it, not really caring. Very unfortunate, but very, very good call in Ancient Freeze there. As the Greninja just keeps pressing Ice Beam, likely hoping to get a Freeze proc. As the Clodsire just recovers through the damage. As the Greninja is taken out via an Earthquake, I don't think there's much room for Chorus X to bring back this fight here. I think this may go in favor of Ancient Freeze. Keep in mind, right now, the team standings of these two teams are PokeValley has an overall score of 2-1, and PokeNova is an overall score of 1-2. So both teams are in very similar positioning. Either could be taken up or down. They both really need any victory that they can get. As Ancient Freeze does beat out Corsex's team in the end there, with 6 Pokemon remaining, taking home the first point of this match. These sets of matches for their side of PokeValley. PokeNova is now at a record of 1 victory and 3 losses. Even if they win the other 2 matches today, they will be at -1 overall. They need to win every match they possibly can or they will be at a significant disadvantage going into the final parts of the group stages. The teams seem to be deciding who their next players are going to be. We do notably have what has been titled as the Nate Off at some point today between PokeValley's Nate Night and PokeNova's Nate Aim. That will be happening. I'm not sure if that will be the final match of tonight or if that will be right now, as it is going to be right now. As Nate Knight representing PokeValley and Nate Aim representing PokeNova. The Nate Off will be starting at any moment now. Any moment now. Any moment now. And here we go. We are starting. I need to wait to see who the stream's gonna spectate. Okay, spectating this side. Cool. As the Pelipper lead from PokeNova's side, this is now the second rain, what is likely to be a rain team from PokeNova. Definitely a favor of them by the looks of it, as the Iron Treads on the opposite side. As Iron Treads will actually need to be careful here, as although this Pelipper won't be able to do too much damage, it will be able to do a significant amount. Well, not necessarily significant amount, but a reasonable amount for a flip turn. Not enough that should be ignored, as Iron Treads goes for the Volt Switch immediately, doing a significant amount of damage to the Pelipper. But it doesn't switch out. Am I dumb? Uh, Appears we have an issue here, folks. So we have a bit of an issue here, folks. Volt Switch is, of course, supposed to do an amount of damage, um, and um, and then switch you out. But it didn't appear to do. It did the first half of that. It did do the damage, but it did not switch this Iron Treads out. So it looks like we're going to restart. Running with the same leads and the same first moves. Scold and Volt Switch. All right. The match begins anew. Once again, the Iron Treads does go for the Volt Switch, pivoting out, and it does appear it worked this time. As the Latios comes in, taking the Scold and not really caring too much, this Pelipper will need to be careful now as it has lost a significant amount of health. And although I do believe it's been revealed that actually both of these players are running a rain team, so it might not necessarily be too bad if one player loses their rain, as the other one's likely going to set it up anyway. Still need to be careful here, as potentially later in the game, losing rain on one side may be quite dire. So this Pelipper will need to swap out a probably hard switch this turn, as this Latios will almost certainly be faster than it. Of course, what set is this Latios running? We've seen a couple sets from Latios's in this tournament as it goes for a Psychic. Very well could be the Scarf set. It does not appear to be the Mega set. As the Swampert comes in, this Latios may take a large amount of damage if it chooses to stay in. Although the question is, if it is running Scarf, is it faster than a Mega Swampert? I don't actually know that. That interaction there, I don't know which one's faster. That Psychic did do just slightly under 50%, so it likely could kill again if the correct roll is gotten. As the Swampert goes for the Ice Punch, it is faster, but just doesn't kill. The Latios goes for the Draco Meteor, and it misses. That's very unfortunate. That Ice Punch not killing could have been a fantastic opportunity for this Latios to permanently get rid of the Swampert early on, and losing a Mega Swampert in a rain team early on is devastating, but unfortunately, despite being given the perfect opportunity, the Draco Meteor does miss. What are you going to do? There's not much you can do about that, unfortunately. Latios will be threatened this turn. It could stay in. but it would die, but at the same time it would allow something else to come in next turn unscathed. Does Nate Knight have something that can actually safely switch into a Swampert and not care that much about the damage that it can put out? Seeing as this turn is lasting quite a while, it appears Nate Knight probably doesn't, as they seem to be thinking quite hard. That also does mean that this Latios is not Scarf, as it did go for the Draco Meteor after using Psychic. I do wonder what set it's using then. As Nate Knight decides to sacrifice the Latios as the Rillaboom comes in. Now, no Swift Swim speed boost can allow you to outspeed a Grassy Glide. The Swampert will be threatened out. Presumably, any solid rain team will have counters to Pokemon like Rillaboom, as they are common threats to rain teams. But the question is, what kind of counter is Nate Aim running, and what will they come in with? And on the side of Nate Knight, what do you do? Do you just play it safe and press Grassy Glide? Or do you press something else, expecting that pivot coming in? Swampert using Ice Punch here could very well kill this Rillaboom. As the Zapdos comes in, and the Rillaboom will go for the knockoff, but knocking off the Zapdos' heavy-duty boots. However, the Rillaboom will be paralyzed. That won't matter too much in speed fights with access to Grassy Glide, but getting that stun may be devastating later on, as this Rillaboom may be one of the few things that can actually deal with that Swampert in a 1v1. And if that 1v1 does ever happen, there's that chance that Paralyze does go off and it dies. We'll have to see. Of course, that I just realized that Zapdos took a significant amount um, from that Grassy Glide, over half. As the Iron Treads comes back in, taking a Hurricane and not really caring. As this Iron Treads, you could just press Volt Switch here and do quite a bit of damage to that Zapdos. However, that would be very, very risky, as that Swampert is still in play. And if you go for the Volt Switch, that will mean that you'll have to hard swap to something to keep this Iron Treads alive. There's only so many things that can safely hard swap into a Mega Swamperous. Zapdos does switch out. The opposing Iron Treads coming in, going for the Ice Spinner. It does take some chip. Interestingly, the Iron Treads that did just come in did proc its speed boost from Quark Drive, so it will be faster than the opposing Iron Treads, and depending on what moves it is running, could absolutely threaten it. We are on turn 8 of Rain. This is the last turn of Rain before Rain Scepter will have to come back in. One side thinking very carefully here. I think it's Nate Knight as the Corviknight comes in. The Iron Tread's going for the Stealth Rock, knowing they threatened out that opposing Iron Treads. Playing it safe. And setting up some utility. As the opposing Corviknight does come in, depending on what this Corviknight is running, it could actually threaten this Iron Treads, as an Iron Press set could very, very well overwhelm this Iron Treads. So it does switch out, as the Pelipper does come in, resetting Rain. Corviknight does go for an Iron Defense. Now, as a Corviknight, you want to be careful here, as this Pelipper has already revealed it does have Scold. And the thing about Scold and Corviknight is that although it doesn't necessarily do a lot of damage, taking being burnt from Scold is absolutely devastating to the damage output of a Corviknight. Basically means it hits about as hard as a wet towel. As the Pelipper does go for the Roost, knowing that it is likely safe in front of this Corviknight, bringing it back up above half health. Also, now that I think about it, a wet towel actually hurts quite a bit to be hit by, so I will use instead the example of a wet sock, as it does get burnt, as this thing's physical outgoing damage is going to be significantly less now. Even with 2 iron defenses set up, it's not going to be doing a lot of damage. The Corviknight does roost through 1 turn, but takes another Scold. It's not looking very good here for Nate Knight. This Corviknight really cannot do what it wants to do. The only value this Corviknight could really probably bring at this point is maybe a later switch in to allow, as in a sacrifice, to allow something else to come in unscathed, or just getting rid of rocks. This thing is now at +6 defense. I don't know if a body press kills this Pelipper here. So it will go for a Roost. What this is doing, however, is stalling through some of these Rain turns. It could be very advantageous. I don't know if +6 defense, it will be enough for body press to kill this Pelipper with that burn. It will do a lot, but I don't know if it will do enough. And if this Corviknight doesn't kill, it will die to a Scold. They need to think very carefully here about what they want to do. You also have to think, how valuable is it really to kill that Pelipper if you're also running a Rain team and you have a Pelipper of your own? How valuable is it really to prevent your team from the enemy team from setting up rocks? As it goes for another Roost. Maybe just trying to get into a slightly better health position, as it is roosting a tiny bit more damage than it is taking. As the Pelipper goes for the Hurricane, it doesn't do much. Perhaps not wanting to burn through the Scold PP. As the Corviknight does go for the Body Press, and it does almost nothing, even at +6. As I said, that burn is devastating to that Corviknight. It really cannot do as much damage as it wants to. However, I think at this point, this Corviknight is trying to stall through this Pelipper, burn through its PP. As it has done so, it's also managed to burn through all the rain turns. So the Pelipper decides to U-turn out, having used a significant amount of Scolds and Roosts. As the Zapdos comes in, and this Corviknight is heavily threatened. What do you do here at this point? This Corviknight is useless outside of a Defogger. It can, of course, sit in front of some Pokemon fairly safely, but it can't really do much to them aside from just stall through turns. And even then, you've used a significant amount of Roosts already, as the Zapdos does go for the Volt Switch, barely not killing this Corviknight, as it does hit with another Body Press. Not doing much to this Pelipper. This Corviknight is almost certainly going to die this next turn. Unless it's faster, which I think it is, and it might go for Roosts. And if it does, then Nate Knight's a psychopath. As it does go for the Roost. Good God. Keeping this thing alive through everything. Just burning through those turns. Stalling this thing out. Pelipper still going for their Scolds. The less Scold PP the less PP Scold has, the better for Nate Knight. As burn procs can easily sway a match. In fact, I've seen many matches, I think a couple even in this tournament, where a match has been won off of a single burn alone. Of course, now she's going for more body presses. So Zapdos comes back in, and this Corviknight will die to another Volt Switch. Zapdos does roost again. Corviknight roosts as well. I believe the intent right now is not for this Corviknight to actually necessarily get value through damage, but is instead just trying to burn through turns. Zapdos goes for the Weather Ball, interestingly enough, probably predicting a switch out. But no, this Corviknight is gonna stay in front of you. I think this Corviknight is staying in until it dies. And Nate Aim has been unable to kill this thing just yet, although it will likely die this next turn. Will the Corviknight finally die? No, it switches out into the Swampert, taking a Weather Ball in the process. I think actually quite a significant amount from Weather Ball. This Swampert will Mega this coming turn. It will be faster than the Zapdos, and I don't know if it threatens with an it will do a lot with an Ice Punch or a Waterfall / Liquidation, but I don't think it kills. Could be wrong though. It also, I think it depends on what set the Zapdos is running. As if this Zapdos very well could be Bulk, although it's very much probably not running Bulk now that I think about it. This is a Rain Zapdos. We'll have to see. Swampert likely does die if it stays in and is unable to kill the Zapdos. Granted, Mega Swampert does have significantly more bulk than regular Swampert, so it may just live. Goes for the Waterfall, does kill the Zapdos, and Rain stops. keeping that Corviknight alive was a very interesting choice. I also have no idea how it lived. You know, it's funny that it's not just Nate versus Nate, it's also Rain versus Rain. Both Nates are running very similar teams. Put that in chat. So the Greninja comes in. Very well threatening to clean up this Swampert, as it is already quite low, taking that Weather Ball from earlier. I'm still astonished that Corviknight is alive. It went through all that, it wasted so many turns, almost two full rotations of Rain, so much PP, and at the end of it, it's still alive. I have to see what happens this turn, as I'm unsure if this Corviknight can necessarily one-shot this Swampert in one turn, but it can certainly likely come close to it. This Swampert does switch out, bringing in the opposing side's Pelipper. Taking a Hydro Pump and is quite low. As the Rillaboom comes in, as the Greninja goes for the Dark Pulse. We do know that this Greninja is not choice locked. As the opposing side's Pelipper comes in, taking a Grassy Glide. Actually taking quite a lot. It was at 80% health, it's now at 32%. Another one will kill it as it stays in, dying to this Rillaboom. Is there anything on Nate Side that can actually safely stand in front of this Rillaboom? As the Grassy Terrain will be up for 3 more turns. A Water Shuriken will go first. I don't know. I don't know specific priority numbers there. So the Darkrai comes in. Does a Darkrai survive a Grassy Glide? We'll have to see. The Iron Treads will come in. Taking the Ice Beam, but basically not caring at all. As the Swampert comes in. And the Corviknight comes in as well. Can this Swampert break through this Corviknight? We are in rain, so Waterfall / Liquidation or whatever it's running will be damage boosted. Corviknight will need to roost this turn to survive any turn after. If it even survives this turn, which it does not, dying from the waterfall. However, grassy terrain is gone, meaning the Rillaboom can actually come back in, threaten the Swampert well out. In which the Darkrai will have to swap, will probably have to hard swap on it. Or the Pelipper could come in actually. Never mind, Nighttime actually does have quite a few options to deal with that Rillaboom still. It's not just the Darkrai. The Rillaboom does come back in, taking rock damage. It's getting lower and lower. And also, notably, it's probably getting to the point where it's in risk of, as its health gets lower and lower, it's in risk of being brought into the range that Water Shuriken from a Greninja will kill. I don't know the exact priority numbers on Grassy Glide and Water Shuriken. I don't know if one is +2 or not. I think they're both just +1, and if they are, then Greninja will outspeed due to this Rillaboom being paralyzed. So the Iron Treads comes in, taking a Grassy Glide and taking significant damage as the Rillaboom does take Life Orb damage but regens and about half of it through grassy terrain. Going for another Grassy Glide as the Iron Treads does go down. Rillaboom being brought lower and lower and lower as the grassy terrain health that it's regenning does not out heal the Life Orb damage. As the Darkrai comes in. I don't think the Iron Treads really needed to die there. But perhaps it was a necessary switch in. We'll see. The Rillaboom does switch out, and the Iron Treads comes back in, taking basically no damage, but does get frozen. This could be bad. You don't see freeze procs a lot of the time, but when you do, they can be really bad. As Darkrai starts going for Dark Pulse, Iron Treads is still frozen. Here's what item this Darkrai is running. It's not running a choice item, and it's not running Life Orb either. Iron Treads does get out, going for the Earthquake. Not actually doing that much, only doing about 25%. It's likely in range of dying from another Dark Pulse. And it will die to another Dark Pulse as another Pokemon on Nate Knight's side is lost. All the status effects are proccing today for Nate Knight, unfortunately. With the Rillaboom being paralyzed, from Zapdos' static, the Corviknight being burned from Pelipper's Scald, and the Iron Treads there being frozen from Darkrai's Ice Beam. Yeah, X Blizzard 22 Gaming in the Twitch chat. The longest match that I believe we've had so far in this tournament. I could be wrong. I'm not too up to date on some of the matches that happened earlier today. I believe the longest match we've had so far in this tournament, neither team was running stall. They were both running offensive sets. So Rillaboom does come back in, taking rocks damage. It's very low now. In fact, I think it might die to Life Orb damage, and it does, but it takes out the Mega Swampert on the opposing side. That could be very big. As the Darkrai comes back in, the Pelipper dying to Stealth Rock, and the opposing setting Rain as the opposing Swampert does come in. This could be big. Nate Knight might bring it back here from the brink of defeat. Going for the superpower, it will kill. Does Nate Aim have an answer for this? As the Greninja comes in. Does it have Water Shuriken, and does Water Shuriken kill? It is in Rain. It will do significantly more than normal. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. The Hex MC and Obscuros. This is a close match. Greninja might be able to take out the Swampert here. It depends. It is not running Water Shuriken, but it does survive the superpower going for the Dark Pulse, but it's not enough to kill. That's really unfortunate. The Swampert now on the brink of death. No idea how that Greninja lived that. Both Pokemon barely surviving without uh it's just it's just so close. As it does go for the Water Shuriken, it does have Water Shuriken. It does beat the Swampert, and Nate Aim beats Nate Knight with a single Pokemon remaining. I think that's the closest match we've had this entire tournament so far. That was quite the match. The Nate versus Nate match, the Rain versus Rain match. As Nate Aim barely survives, but does win. That was a fantastic match. However, it is not over. I do not believe. We have one more fight for you tonight. Um, as both teams are now up 1-1, I do believe. That was a brilliant match. We do have our final fighters getting ready now. Pawn Boyery of PokeNova and Pawn Boy Ari? Pawn Boyery? I don't know. And Glacial Eclipse of PokeValley. I'm gonna ask pronounce your name. All right, it is Pawn Boy Ari. Or is it one word? I don't know. It could be Pawn Boyery, Pawn Boy Ari. I think it's Pawn Boy Ari. 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 I'm Scottish. I don't know. I can barely speak English anyway. Pawn Boy Ari. We'll go with that. As our final match for tonight, this will be the deciding match between these two teams. Who's going to walk away with most points here? One side has 1 point, the other side has 1 point. This is our final deciding match. PokeNova definitely needs this win more, as they're currently at 2 wins and 3 losses. However, it's the other way around on PokeValley's side, 3 wins and 2 losses. As the fight does begin, I see an Espeon. We saw that Pokemon the other day, used by Pixelmon Scarlet Korea. Quite frankly, a terrifying setup sweeper when it was used. We have a Mega Sableye on the opposing side. I fear we have a stall team, as the Mega Sableye goes for the knockoff, killing the Espeon on round 1. Very unfortunate there. I don't know if that was maybe a misplay, miscall. Just got maybe just a bit too excited. As the Weavile comes in. Can this actually kill this Sableye? Sableye is very low. Obviously, a knockoff won't work here. And Sableye is a monster in the defenses. We'll have to see if this Weavile can break through it. It is quite low, but is it low enough? I also do fear that that's a still team. Sableye will switch out, playing it safe. So Toxapex comes in, taking the Icicle Crash and not really caring. You also know that this Weavile is running, notably, it is running Life Orb, it is not running Boots. As the Weavile decides to Swords Dance in front of this Toxapex. Very ballsy. Of course, most Toxapexes do run Haze. Hoping to break through it on this coming turn, using Night Slash, doing a significant amount of damage. as Haze does bring this Weavile's stats back to normal. But this Toxapex will not be able to stay comfortably in, probably. Will have to come out and proc that regenerator to get its health back. As it does switch out, as does both teams, both sides switch their Pokemon out. The Slowbro coming in and the Clefable coming in. Oh god, that's a Stole team. It's a Slowbro, that's a Mega Sableye, it's a Toxapex, it's a Stole team. I hope you all have some snacks. As the Blissey does come in, Clefable going for Calm Mind. Probably will not be able to break through this Blissey unless it gets enough Calm Minds off and has Psyshock. I don't even know if Clefable gets Psyshock. If it does, it could potentially break through this Blissey with enough Calm Minds. But as of right now, I don't think it can. As the Sableye will come in and the Squawkabilly. The Squawkabilly. I'm sorry, the what? Going for the Protect, probably just to see what the hell this thing's gonna do as it goes for the Brave Bird. This is not. I would have bet money this Pokemon would not show up in this tournament. As the Toxapex comes in taking a Brave Bird and taking a significant amount. Good God. That's actually kind of crazy. How much damage that Toxapex just took from this. God, man. I would have willingly bet money that Squawkabilly would not show up in this tournament. If you asked me a couple weeks ago, "Hey Alba, do you think Squawkabilly is going to show up in this tournament?" I would say no. You ask and put money on that, I would say yes. Magnezone comes in, not taking much damage from a Brave Bird. So Squawkabilly is forced out. As the Blissey comes in, as does the Sableye. Sableye does go for the Recoverer as the Hariyama comes out. I'm seeing some things I like here. Not so much the Squawkabilly, but the Hariyama, I like that. I like that. Although I don't think the Hariyama can actually do much to the Sableye. Might be wrong. This team of just random stuff going against this full stall team is like, it's given me whiplash after that last game. Hariyama goes for the headlong rush. Sableye does protect. What else is in that team? It's Choice Specs, Espeon, Squawkabilly, Hariyama. There's also a Clefable in there. Is that what we've seen so far? I think. I think there's two other Pokemon we haven't seen. Dread to think what they are. Oh, the Clefable's on that side. Oh no, it's the Blissey they're using. Yeah, they're using Blissey. Okay. I was confused there. They're not using Clefable, they're using Blissey. Yeah, I got confused. Sorry about that. It is. Forgive me. It's 2 a.m. As the Gliscor comes in, taking a bullet punch and not really caring. Like Clefable would have definitely cared about that bullet punch, though. I just want to know what's those last 2 Pokemon are. Slowbro comes in. Oh, please let this be a Mega Slowbro. Please let this be a Mega Slowbro. Score does go for knockoff. Slowbro going for chilling water. Very interesting. Skysaur is not really going to be able to break through the Slowbro now, although the Slowbro's Nocky helmet is gone. Going for the Psychic barely even scratches the surface of that Blissey. I don't believe we've seen the 6th slot of Pondboy Ari's team. I also haven't seen a Mega. I wanted to see like a Mega Glalie or something. Come on, you've already shown me a Squawkabilly and a Hariyama. My bets are off the table. So the Hariyama does come back in. Keep in mind, this Hariyama cannot stay in it forever, as it will slowly be taking more and more and more damage from burn. As it cannot repeatedly pivot in and out. As the Gliscor comes in at taking a knockoff, losing quite a bit. Does lose that Toxic Orb, but doesn't matter too much. So the Slowbro comes back in. As the Blissey comes in, Slowbro going for the Calm Mind. Even at +6, I don't think the Slowbro can threaten this Blissey. So it does switch out, bringing the Weavile back in. And it does die. I think that was actually the 6th Pokemon I was forgetting. So Hariyama comes back in. Hard pivoting to the Slowbro, expecting the Gliscor switch in. Good call. Both teams just hard switching, then hard switching. I think we're gonna have one of those matches. I think losing that Weavile is really rough, and also losing that Espeon really early on is also very rough. As the Goliath score on Glacial side seems to have disappeared. We may have a new bug, folks. We did have a bug earlier in the tournament. Where if a Pokemon that could levitate either through flying or having levitate ability switched into hazards, it would and then switched out again, it would just disappear from the match entirely, could not be selected. But that bug was fixed, but it appears that this Gliscor has disappeared from their team. So this is likely a different bug, but the match seems to be playing on regardless. And I think both sides know that it's probably not going to be going to one side here. But both sides are going to keep trying regardless. So Hariyama is taking Stealth Rock damage and burn damage every single time it pivots in, slowly dying more and more and more without even needing to be hit. I forget that Squawkabilly's still alive. So Toxapex does switch out into the Clefable, taking a headlong rush and actually taking quite a significant amount. As a Bullet Punch will threaten this Clefable here. Although I expect it to hard pivot out into probably the Toxapex again. No, it stays in, taking the Bullet Punch. Oh, only just surviving, but does soft boiled through. As Bullet Punch does do a lot, but it doesn't do 50%. Since Hariyama is not going to be able to break through his Clefables, it goes for a Bullet Punch again. And the Clefable just keeps soft boiling through it. Hariyama going for the Bullet Punch again as the Fable does go for Moonblast, taking out the Hariyama. A massive wall breaker on Ponyboy Ari's side, dying. I don't think they have much left that can break through the Still team. As the Squawkabilly comes back in, the champion of this tournament. Cannot fucking believe this thing has showed up. Squawkabilly probably, I don't know if it threatens, I don't know the usual damage that Squawkabilly could put out. As it goes for the Brave Bird on the Toxapex, doing over half. Granted, the Toxapex wasn't full to begin with. Does take a lot of recall damage though. As the Magnezone comes in, taking basically nothing. As the Squawkabilly is threatened here. As the Squawkabilly actually dies from recoil damage. The Blissey comes in. God, I hope Glacial Eclipse has something to break through this fast and doesn't let this last forever. As the Magnezone will pivot out with Volt Switch, bringing in their own Blissey. This is a Blissey versus Blissey fight. Oh god. Okay. So setting up Stealth Rocks for some reason. Going for the Toxic. Good move. That will mean this Blissey is on a counter. I think this might be Pomboyari's last Pokemon. No, it's not. The Slowbro comes in. I forgot about that. The last two Pokemon on Pomboyari's side are the two Stole Pokemon facing down an entire team of Stole. We're currently at turn 39. It might be a while. Pomboyari wanting to go for a forfeit this game this late in the match, knowing that they are not going to be able to win. Listen, man, I just wasn't expecting to see a Squawkabilly, okay? And the Hariyama was cool as well. We are having a forfeit here, as Glacial Eclipse will come away with the victory there. 6-0. That means PokeValley will walk away with 2 points. PokeNova only walks away with 1. Meaning overall, I'm trying to do math. It's 2:30 in the morning. As PokeValley's, I believe, is walking away 4-2 after their first 2 matches, I believe. And PokeNova is the opposite at 2-4, I think. Maybe. Check the website for the actual proper statistics and not the math done by a dumb Scot at 2:30 in the morning. Thanks for watching the Pixelmon World Cup today. That is all the matches we have for you today. Let me just check the schedule, see if we have anything coming up tomorrow. We do. We have 2 sets of matches coming up tomorrow. Obscuros versus Hollowed Fantasy. Notably, Obscuros is the champions from last year. However, they didn't do as well in their first showing as they might have liked. Going 1-2 overall. And our second match tomorrow will be Pokesaga versus Hex MC. You can check the Discord for the exact information on when those are scheduled. You can access the Discord through the Pixelmon website. On the website, you'll also see a sponsorship segment if you wish to support the World Cup. That is where you would do it. This is a community-driven event, and any help really goes a long way. Any support to the prize pool, any of that sort of stuff helps out a lot. This is all we have for you today. We will see you again tomorrow. My name is Alba. I've been your host for these final matches of the day, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.